Good morning, guys. Welcome to the view for the day from Equity, guys. Today is the expiry day, the 17th of July, and my name is Chirag, and I'm certified technical analyst. And let's get into the view for the day. So, starting off with what happened yesterday. So, Nifty closed about 16 points in the positive side, and Bank Nifty closed about 160 points in the positive side, with Sensex closing just a slight 60 points in the positive side. So moving on for today we see that Nifty futures is trading at a premium of 24 points, and the Bank Nifty futures is trading at a premium of 77 points. So this is extremely bullish from both the indexes here. And then moving on to India VIX is trading is actually low of two is actually going down of 2.9%, 2.09%. This is also bullish in nature. So moving on to GIFT Nifty and GIFT Nifty and Nifty futures, we see that the difference here is that there's a difference of 23 points. So which means that there is going to be a slight gap up today, slight gap up to a neutral gap up opening today. So that is going to be important for today, whether it sustains or not. So let's see. Moving on to crude oil levels, we see that in crude oil that we are at 5,713 levels. These levels are definitely very bullish for the market. That it has gone down previously, so that will also aid the market there. Nifty Bs actually closed slightly negative, right? Which is about 0.01% negative is what it closed. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Whereas Bank Nifty closed about 0.08% positive. Gold bees and silver bees did take a fall. Gold bees falling about 0.3%, silver bees falling about 0.32%. Moving on to the PCR ratios, for Nifty 50, we see that the PCR is at zero point 0.8, and we see that the Bank Nifty PCR is at 0.87. So we can see that in Nifty 50 that the PCR ratio is just a little bit above oversold levels. We're in the neutral levels here, and then in Bank Nifty also we're heading towards the we are also in the neutral levels there. Moving on to the sectoral indices, we see that there is kind of a mix buying and selling. Some areas like metals and some areas like healthcare, capital goods are seeing a little bit of selling, but we have major indexes like your IT and your auto and BankX seeing a lot of buying. So this is definitely on the positive side for this sectoral indices here. Looking at the NSE data, in the advanced decline ratio, we see that it is fairly neutral, but slightly favoring the bulls here. We see that the advances are at 1,657 and the declines are at 1,267, right? So slightly favoring the bulls there. Looking at the FII/DI data, in the FII/DI data, we see that the FIIs in the cash market have sold 1,858 crores, whereas the DIIs have tried to match it by buying 1,223 crores, but fell short a little there. And then looking at the FNO segment for looking at the FNO segment here, I'll just refresh it here. Yeah, looking at the FNO segment here, 1 minute, we are seeing that there is selling in index futures of about 700 crores here, and there is again selling of about 3,000 crores in the index futures. So overall data in for FIS DIS is definitely bearish there, with a lot of selling coming in from FIS. So looking at the advanced decline ratios, we see that Nifty is having 20 advances, 29 declines, with Bank Nifty having about 8 advances and 4 declines. And looking at the sectors, we see that there is definitely neutral all the way across the board in Nifty 50. And yes, the data is fairly neutral but slightly on the negative side here, with the 29 declines over the 20 advances, and Bank Nifty is actually showing a little bit of bullish data here, so a little mixed data here in the advanced declines in each of the indexes. Now moving on to the option chain. So the option chain is very interesting today. So we do see, a little bit of buying far in the money for the puts, which is on the right hand side. So in this region right here, and in the rest of the option chain, we see that there is selling. So in the money calls, out of the money calls, and out of the money puts are seeing selling, and a little bit of in the money puts here. But major levels to watch out for are 25 150 levels, which have a good amount of support here, and then we see the 25 300 levels, 250 to 300 levels have major resistance there too in the option chain. But let's see how that impacts us throughout the day. But overall, the view for the option chain is that it is bearish here, right, with how the option chain has closed. Looking at the global indices, we see that the US markets did pretty well, closing positive. Dow Jones 0.5% positive, S&P 500 0.32% positive, and Nasdaq about 0.25% positive, which is all bullish on the US front. Looking at the European markets, we see that they did close negative, slightly negative, except for CAC. CAC is about 0.5% negative, whereas FTSE and DAX is about 0.13 and 0.21% negative, respectively. So finally, we see we can move on to the Asian markets. Nikkei is up about 0.57%. Hang Seng is on the lower side of about 0.3% lower, and then we see Kospi again lower on 0.38%. Again, the data is a little bit mixed here too. So US being positive, Europe being negative, Asia being a mix of both. Overall, there is mixed data from the global front. Looking at how the US ADRs are looking, we see that there's a good amount of buying in US ADRs, especially in big companies like, Wipro and Infosys. We also see Dr. Reddy's and HDFC also getting a little bit of buying there too. So overall, US ADRs are extremely bullish here, positive for the Indian markets, as we see there is a good amount of buying. Finally, moving in at up to the US futures. So the US futures is slightly negative. We see that 0.14% negative, 0.10% negative, and 0.09% negative. It is a little bearish, but on the neutral side too, because they are just slightly negative, the indexes. But yes, it is a little bit on the bearish side. So moving back to the view for the day. So the view for the day is again, being an expiry day, it could be a two-sided expiry today. We just have to see whether it is a boring expiry or if it's going to be a fast expiry, and if the gap up is sustained and the 52 222 levels are respected, then we can definitely see a move on the upside. If R1 again, if S1 is respected, there can be a huge move on the upside. If the gap up is not respected though, then we can tend to see a small movement throughout the day. So again, moving on throughout the day, as we mark our S1s and R1s, our R1 is at 25 to 22 levels, and our S1 is at 25 121 levels. Two important levels there, and then after that we have our R2 and R S2, which are key reversal levels. So R2 is at 25 333 levels, where there could be a huge reversal from there, and 25 088 levels is our S2. There could be huge reversals from there. But key areas that we need to keep in mind is at 25 to 22 levels. We want to close above that if we want to see more bullishness in the market. Thank you guys for tuning into the view for the day. Hope you guys took away something interesting from that. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the push notifications, and so you guys don't miss any future videos from Equity Guys. Thank you so much.